episode 22 of Create Astral. So, I was looking at the quest book, as one does, and we still have a lot of things before we can even think about getting to the Mars, and getting there. However, looking at what we need to do, there are kind of 6 main sections that we need to worry about. So those 6 sections are the rocket fuel, that's this whole section up here. The munitions work, which includes this thing, but also like all of this with steel and coal dust and probably the launch pad. The crushing wheel isn't as big of a thing, but it's just an important thing, so I'm counting it its own thing. We have this whole area over here, which I'm going to talk about. And then we have this sort of random bits of stuff. So what I've done is I've actually written down all the things in this book. So we got to make the crushers, we got to make the munitions factory, zinc factory, rocket fuel, gold factory, and then just the odds and ends. The gold factory isn't as important, but it is still going to be something that we probably want to set up. That way we can just have all the gold and I don't have to go mining for it underground. That probably makes sense. And I think if I get one of these done each episode, I think we can be on Mars by June, I think. We'll see if that actually happens or not. It might be July, but we'll give it our best shot. Maybe it'll be even earlier. But we're going to see what we can do, and we're going to start with our crushing wheels. And let's get those started. Okay, so we got the materials that we need for a crushing wheel. I've said that I think in the last episode I said that I started using rotational speed controllers. They're so good. Like, honestly, best thing in the pack. Have I claimed the quest for it? No. What do I get from... I get a train casing. Sure. I get 24 train casings. That's actually pretty good. That's actually another thing I should put on my list is make a better train. We've got this thing speeding up, so hopefully it won't be quite as long. Let's just make sure that everything is pointed in the right direction. These are going to go down this way. Let's have everything just kind of go down here, go down there, across, and I think that should work. So we need a single silver ingot in the middle. We're going to need 4 planks around the outside, and then we need a bunch of andesite that just goes all the way around. The nice thing about this is it's going to make 2 of these. I think that means it's recognized it, and look how much faster that goes just from that. And we have our crushing wheels. So we've completed that quest. Let's see what we get from that. We get a bunch of crushed stuff, which I don't think we can use again. Let's just quickly do that. Can we do anything besides wash this? We have a chance of getting a redstone, or we can just smelt it right away. Honestly, I don't want to deal with the nuggets. We're going to have a different way to deal with redstone, so let's just put these in here. What does the zinc give us if we wash it? Gunpowder. Gold gives us quartz. The copper gives us clay. Yeah. Let's just chuck all these in here. Why is this stocked? Oh, is this full of bricks? It's full of bricks. Let's go put these in the brick depot for now. We do have rather a lot of them. But for my addiction to making factories, apparently, we're going to need to keep making them. Which is fine. Gives us something to do with our clay. Now, I've made this thing above our old clay machine. So we're going to go up here. I probably should build an actual ladder off the edge of this to go here. But I've made a little setup already for our crushing wheels. So we're going to put one here, and one here, and now we should be good to go. I think these are facing the right way. I don't want to jump in between them. I do have another rotational speed controller down there. And I thought, since one of the quests, it gives us a bunch of stuff to grind up, but we can recycle deep slate. We need a lot of deep slate to do this, and we get some random stuff. But this is one way that we can automate zinc. So if we chuck this in here, It gets ground up, and already we have a couple ingots. So we're just going to let that run and see what else we can do. And I'm going to make another pair of crushing wheels because we have one more thing that I want to use these for. So we're going to grab these, then we're going to put our helmet on, and we are going to head back to the moon. It's been a little while since we've been on the moon. I think the last time we were there was to get some blazes. And in that time, I have done a little bit of work. I was trying to figure out how to get power working. Outside of maybe a steam engine, and then I don't know how we get the water for it. Wind does seem to be great. The best thing. I've also started building a little moon base. However, as you can see, it has no glass. Because I don't know how to make blue dye right now. That doesn't involve using lapis. But this is eventually going to be a thing we can use. Where did you come from? Why are you out here in the middle of the day? Here we go. What I've done is I've built this setup. So this again has a rotational speed controller just to help with this. However, I don't think that this is actually going to work here because there is no water on the moon. Or at least not in liquid form. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to put a crushing wheel here. We're going to put our other crushing wheel here. And we have another stone growth generator that's making moon cobblestone. I'm realizing that I forgot to bring just a normal funnel. Do I have any rubber in here? Nope. That's okay though. We'll just do this manually. So we're going to take some moon cobblestone. We drop it onto the conveyor belt. And this should get ground up into moon sand. Now the moon sand is going to go into this bucket eventually. And I think what I might actually do, since we can't do this with water, so I'm going to remove this barrel and put a shulker box here. And I think the moon sand should still go into the shulker box. Cool. Because then we can take the shulker box, we can go and wash that. That should be fine. So let's put a couple more cobblestones on here. Because they can make some different stuff. Now we do have to keep an eye out here, so we can put it into these funnels if we get it. That's just sand. This seems to be taking a little bit longer to grind, but I think that's because it's more than just one cobblestone. That's a bunch more sand, and that's one of the other things that we can get, is tuff. Now the tuff, I think we want it to go in there. I think. Let's just check this. Oops. Forgot about moon gravity. I think we want that to go there. Because we can use the tuff. What do I have set up here? For another set of crushing wheels, which I forgot to make. And we can crush that down into basalt and charcoal. And eventually this is all going to be part of making a zinc farm. Great. But that's one of the things we can do here. So there should have been another thing that was made from this. I think we can also potentially get desh, although it's incredibly rare. It might be easier just for setting this up to go find a piece of desh and stick it in that filter. So we got our piece of desh. Let's put it here. Let's just chuck that onto the conveyor belt. And oh, it's because this is a barrel, so it doesn't want to go in here yet. Let's take those out. And then let's grab that, throw it in there, this, throw it in there. So this will eventually get us more desh. It's another way that we can automate it. And let's just put the rest of this stack on here. Let's go ahead and put this stack on there. And let's see what it makes. So it looks like we got a whole bunch of sand. We got at least one tuff. Looks like there's a few of them in there. No dash, but there's like a 3% chance, so it's fairly unlikely. But this is basically the idea of this initial part of the machine. We get more sandstone, we get more tough, and we did actually get a singular dash. Cool. So that's going into there. That's going into there. Let's go and get the other grinding wheels, and then we can set up what these are going to be, because there's a whole process here, as you might be able to tell. Right, so we're back. It's a lovely day on the moon. We got our next 2 crushing wheels, so we can put those in like so. And then, with the tough, let's just grab a tough out of here. It's pretty tough. We're going to grind this into basalt and charcoal. So the charcoal is what's going to keep going through here into here, and the basalt should hopefully go into there. So let's chuck this onto here. Let's get ready to grab things as they come out. That was really fast. Did we not get anything from this one? Maybe it's not a 100% chance for either of them. Oh no, there's not a 100% chance. Okay, well that's fine. Let's put a funnel on this side. Let's turn it so it's facing the right direction. And then this should just start spewing tough out. We can put the other bits in here. Let's just get ready to grab things if we see them. There's a charcoal. That's going to go straight through. That's going to go straight through. That's a nothing. That's a nothing. More charcoal. And more. And there is a basalt. So let's put that on there. Let's check that back here. And then our charcoal shouldn't go into there. And should instead go into this millstone. Which I suppose really we could speed up as well. And that's going to get us black dye. And just to make sure, is that the only thing that we can get from this? Or is there a possibility for gray dye as well? There's a possibility for gray dye, so we might have to deal with that, so it doesn't get backed up. Maybe this should actually be like a barrel instead of just... Oh, no, it is a barrel. Never mind, I'm losing my mind. By the way, this whole setup should be just about done. The last thing we need is an andesite filter here. And it should be good. So we're just going to let this run, and we'll come back in a sec.
Eventually.
Right, so I've left this running for quite a while. We've gotten quite a bit of sand. The crazy thing about this is it's constant, because this thing is just constantly making stuff. This is the speed that it's making stuff, so it's not going to end. In that time, we've only gotten 9 raw desh, but again, 3%. That makes sense. And we have some salt. We have some black dye, and the reason that we care about these things is because when we compact them, I was lacking the word there, is going to make scoria, or scorchia. We do need blazing blood, but we have these other 3 things now. We have basalt, we have black dye, we have easy access to moon sand. Scorchia, if we crush that up, gives us zinc, very specifically. We could also just mill it, but it's less efficient. I'd rather definitely get the zinc and then have powdered obsidian as a byproduct, black dye, and then tough again. And really, if we collect that tough, we can put that tough back into here and have it cycle through again. That's pretty tough. So that's kind of the idea with that. So it should be good. What I do have on here as well is an off switch. It powers off... No, it just reverses the order of this. I thought this was an off switch. Never mind. That's fine. Either way, we're going to take our shulker box. We're going to bring it back to the earth. And let's get some of this washing into more dish, some cheese, and some other stuff. So we've put a little chute on the side of our washer, and if we put our gray shulker on top of it, I think that should start putting sand into here, which will then get automatically washed, and it just does it automatically. We don't have to worry about it, which I think is a good thing. How do we not have a moonstone? I feel that we should have completed that. It's fine. Cool. So the last thing I want to do, I think the next thing, since we have some of the resources for making zinc, is probably to make a zinc farm. To do that, we need nether grout, and to do that, we just need powdered obsidian, magma cream, soul sand, and scoria. The scoria we definitely have, but I'm going to have to go look for where exactly we have all those. We also, I think, are going to need to put another blaze burner, maybe under this one, just so that it can mix a little bit easier. Also, I just realized that I was on 1% oxygen. I very nearly died, and I had no idea. That's some scary stuff right there. So we got all the things we need. Not quite an even number of it, but that's fine. Let's power up our blaze burner. Let's throw in all of our scorchia, all of our soul sand, magma cream, and powdered obsidian. And this should start making scorched bricks. The powdered obsidian is so much easier to make now that we've got that crushing wheel up there. It just runs through things ridiculously quickly. This does take a little while, it seems. I almost wonder if I need to put some more coal in there just to be on the safe side. Just to give this thing like 8 more coals. But it is making grout. We can see it up there in the top center right. So let's let it do that. I did want to show one more thing, because I'll probably do this off screen. Also, if you see more crushing wheels appear, I've done them off screen. But our lovely tree farm over here, it does tend to get kind of full of saplings, and the saplings aren't very useful for the most part. So what I've started doing is, when I put them all into this barrel, you'll notice that they're suddenly starting to disappear. That's because I've put a thing on the back that just turns it all into bone meal. One of the things I think we're going to need for the rocket fuel is a lot of bone meal, to the point where I'm thinking rocket fuel factory might go like up here somewhere, and I'm just going to have a couple of farms only making stuff to do bone meal. But I want to show that off just to show how it looks. That's not ideal. Let's go check on our grout. Crushing wheel is so cool. It's absolutely crushing it. Makes me want to crush it.
I want some crusher, a little crusher. Milk keeps me fit and tastes so great.
Okay, so we have, amongst other things in here, we now have another grout. We have almost a full stack of this. We probably will want to do this one because I have no idea how the foundry works. I also accidentally made some lime dust while I was messing around with the crusher. So we got a couple of things we can check off. We can't get anything for that. We also completed lime dust, which is over here. We don't get any rewards for that, but then we are going to end up back up here again. So I think that's going to do it. Next time, and we're really going to try to do this one in one episode, but we're going to try to make a zinc factory. I don't know how much of that I'm going to make off screen. I don't know how nice it's going to look. I suspect we're going to need another train, but on the moon. There are people talking over there, so I'm going to come over here. But if you liked, please hit like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. You can even preemptively tell me what the moon train should be called. So yeah, I'll see you in the next episode.